I'm very pleased with the exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art because it was made with great love and respect for the work of the artist. Now, for me, it's quite an experience because I'm seeing more than 40 years of my own work, and I think that it's a great lesson for me. I don't have any preference for some particular work which is at my exhibition. I just go through all the rooms in the garden like I would remember my past life. It's a very interesting experience for a living artist. When I look at the room of my beginnings, while I was still very young and very enthusiastic, and in this atmosphere of Paris before the First War, marvelous creative atmosphere, and then my early Cubist period where I was looking for a new language, and then when the new language was assimilated, everyone started to tell his own stories, and I started to tell my stories. I have been now for 44 years a professional sculptor. I studied a lot, I saw a lot, I worked a lot. I had the great privilege to have among my friends the highest spirits in the field of art. We had endless discussions. And from this life experience, I came to some convictions. These convictions are ruling my life, they are ruling also my work. Among my convictions, which I prize the most, is the freedom for the artist to go wherever his imagination leads him. When I was in 46 in Paris, I was asked by Father Couturier if I would like to make a Virgin for the Church of Assisi. First of all, I was a little bit surprised because, after all, I'm not Catholic faith. And I told so to Father Couturier, and he answered me, if it doesn't disturb you, it doesn't disturb us. And I was very pleased with this answer, and I said immediately that I will consider to do it. I started to think about my vision. And for a long time, really, it didn't come until one day I had an inspiration, and I immediately saw how the vision should be. And I started to make my sketches. I made a lot of them, drawings and little sculptures. And finally, I made a big scale model. So I started my big sculpture. And I worked for an entire year on this Virgin. It was almost completed when a fire destroyed everything in my studio. And the Virgin was gone. Of course, the fire was a tremendous tragedy in my life, but I immediately started all over again. And with the help of friends, I started to build a studio. You are surprised to see so many works of art around my place, but really I'm not a collector, don't misunderstand me. I'm a workman who is interested in work done by other people, from the prehistoric times until today. People say that the objects which are here around me, coming from different ages and different places, have a kind of unity. I think this unity is because they're coming to me. I choose them. I like to watch how the human mind realized with the hand ideas, all kind of ideas, plastic ideas and human ideas. That's why I'm fascinated by all these things which are around me, and I like the atmosphere which it gives me. I'm watching all these things every day, and every day is new for me. I love my craft because it is like being a workman. In the early morning, I'm getting up and I go to work. I walk to come to my studio. And then over there, it's not only a physical work, but also intellectual. I have the feeling that all my human potentialities are busy while I'm working. And it gives me a tremendous satisfaction. It gives me also a lot of strain because in the evening I'm just worn out every evening. Nevertheless, I walk back home and then I can read a little bit or listen to music. To make a sculpture, I don't have really any process. It's very different. Sometimes I'm making a lot of drawings before I start to make my sculpture. Sometimes it comes spontaneously, just like that, without thinking, automatically. I started to build my new Virgin, and now it is completed in plaster and will go to the foundry. The processes of sculpture, of course, are very complex and complicated. If you work in clay, you model, well, you have to cast it, and after that it goes to bronze, and the casting of bronze is a very long and difficult process, especially if it's done like I like to do it in the lost wax process. It's something which is very slow before you have a result, but you have to love it to go into it. So you see, I'm working on this version since 1947. Now I will have a lot to work, to retouch my waxes, and then after that to chisel the bronze, and quite a lot of work before it will be completed. I have now my sculpture in wax. Whatever I'm doing now will appear in the bronze, even my smallest fingerprints. After that, we will add to my sculptures a lot of gates or kind of tubes which will help the wax to melt it out through these channels, and after that the metal to come in. When it's ready, we cover it with the kind of mixture of plaster and silicate. And when everything is finished, we have our mold. This mold is put in a kiln where it will stay for a few days until all the wax is melted out. After that, we will put the mold in a kind of a pit which is at the foundry, and we will put sand all around so that when the metal, which is coming with a tremendous strength, will come into the mold, it should not burst. Then the metal is melted and poured into the mold. After that, the mold has to cool off. And when it's cooled off, we take it out from the pit and we break the mold. When we break the mold, we find our sculpture in metal plus all this tube which we added. These tubes have to be cut away. Then the artist is chiseling with a chisel and a hammer, chiseling directly into the metal to even up all the material. When all that is finished, we give color to our sculpture with all kind of oxidations of different acids until we come to the color which we like. Then the sculpture is finished. The history of my Virgin is very rich in all kinds of experiences. Pleasant, unpleasant, tragic, marvelous. It seems to me that sculpture is just a miraculous medium. Of course, I'm prejudiced because it's my craft, I love it. But to see how something is born from your hand, something that didn't exist before and now is here existing, taking place in the space, it is just miraculous. I made this inscription in French and I used my Jewish name. It reads, Jacob Lipschitz, Jew, faithful to the religion of his ancestors, made this virgin for the better understanding of human beings on this earth, so that the spirit may prevail.